good evening. I'm Elijah, along with my friend Ricardo, and we are the hosts of HBCU Drumline Talk. Because there are so many great community lines, we're here to do a part two to episode 6, a community affair. Here we have two great instructors who have worked with Cream Percussion and have went on to start a group named New Wave Percussion. Tonight we have Garrett Wilson and TJ Woolfolk. Welcome, fellas, to HBCU Drumline Talk. How's everything going?
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having us. I appreciate the opportunity from you, gentlemen. It's a great platform, and I've saw some of your episodes before, so I'm blessed to have the opportunity to be on this and share it with my assistant, TJ.
That's really great. It's good. Good to have you guys on at this point. Just before we jump in, I just want to go ahead and just start by saying, hey, then once again, thanks for coming on. And you guys just tell us about yourselves. Like where did you mark? Talk to us a little bit about what positions you held in your drum line at the HBCU. When did you march? Things like that.
TJ.
All right, I'll start. So I actually didn't march at a HBCU. I didn't attend an HBCU. I attended a PWI, but I didn't march there either. It's actually a funny story as to why I didn't march. So I went to Georgia State University, and back when I was in high school, they didn't have their own marching band program. So students that were at Georgia State or any of the other colleges in Georgia were allowed to march at Georgia Tech. So I was like, yeah, I want to go to Georgia State, be in their music program, go march at Georgia Tech, because that's where a bunch of my friends are marching at. So then once I finally get to Georgia State, actually the year before I got there is when they started their own marching band program. And so the year that I started there was the first year that Georgia State students weren't allowed to march at Georgia Tech. So they took that opportunity away from me. Still kind of salty about that. But since I wasn't marching at State, I was on the Atlanta Falcons drumline. So that was kind of my version of the upper tier marching experience, aside from the few drum corps auditions that I've done.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, what courses did you audition for?
I auditioned for Jersey Surf in 2012. No, not 2012. 2012 is not age out. 2010. I auditioned for the front ensemble there and quit because I decided that I didn't want to do the front ensemble anymore. I really realized that I wanted to play bass drum. Like that was what I wanted to do. Like doing that audition process made me realize that. So then I took a couple of years off and auditioned at Carolina Crown and United Percussion. And I actually got contracted for both of those, but had a knee injury, and so that took me out. And that was my age out year, so never got to actually march.
Okay.
But I did get contracted, so that kind of counts.
Hey,
Gotcha.
It's all good. All
right. Well, I guess I'll take it away. I graduated from Clarkston High School, where I marched there for 3 years. I got in marching band my freshman year, but second semester doing like what they call a jamboree. So I didn't even know how to actually march and play when I first got to do my first marching band performance. I had to kind of learn that after. I had the hands and whatever we were doing in the show and the music at that time. I played in the Georgia Perimeter College Wind Ensemble while I was in high school because it was right across the street. So our band director would take us over there, some of the top musicians. I went on to march with Cream for 4 years, where I met Mr. James Riles, and we were the first drumline to do the Atlanta Hawks. I cannot tell you the years. I can't tell you the years, but yeah, there's record of it. We did, I believe, like 100 and so home games, 151 home games. We were like the opening, and then we had every season we had one halftime or two halftime shows and some other stuff where we were playing the stands. But after that, I went to South Carolina State University, where I marched under Tim Green for 5 years, 08 to 12. I was a freshman captain when I came in. and then went on to be snare captain and section leader. After that, I did the Drumline 2 movie and the Quad on BET for Don Roberts, and a bunch of other different performances like that, and ended up, running audio for Drumline Live a couple times. And I believe that's about my marching band experience as it goes to me. I think that's about it.
And that's okay. And that was really good information. Both of you guys really talked up some good points. I did want to, talk on this subject a little bit more. And the question I had is that, it's not easy to come across these opportunities. Like you said, you got an opportunity to do Drumline Live or Drumline 2. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. And you guys both had opportunities to, march with the Atlanta Falcons Drumline, which is probably like the drumline that gets the most spotlight, it seems. Just talk to us about how you guys.
TJ was the one that did the Falcons. I never got a chance to do the Falcons. I
Okay.
wanted to, but by the time they did, they had passed it on to like MLK High School, I believe. So I was only able to do the Hawks.
Okay, but still, it's still a good opportunity. How did those opportunities present themselves to you guys?
Well, the opportunity presented itself to me. I was a student in Cream at the time, and I'm not sure. They just said, "Hey, we got to do an audition. It's going to be for the Atlanta Hawks." So we created a show, and then they took us in there in their like practice gym or something. This was back in Phillips Arena at that time. We went back there and we just did our thing, and then everybody was like, "Oh, we loved it." And then after that, we did 40, I believe, games that to finish out that season. And then we went on for 2 more seasons after that.
That's great.
So it came about by just, performing with Cream and doing different things. Like we were going out of state and we were performing at a lot of churches and different things. So I guess because social media and all those things weren't that popular at that time. We had none of that social media stuff. You could make videos, of course, but none of that was popular. So we had to get out and do a lot of performances for people to see what we were bringing to the table for the opportunity to present itself.
Yeah, I think that's the strength of the word of mouth. It travels fast,
Even in this day and age, it's still better than anything.
Yeah,
word of mouth. Like they'll believe someone telling them right away, "Hey, do this," or "Check this out," rather than an ad or something like that.
That's good. That's good. Mr. Woolfolk, what about yourself?
That actually ties in with the Georgia State, Georgia Tech drumline thing. So when I got to Georgia State, before I got there, I was looking into the drumline, seeing who was going to be the instructor at Georgia Tech. And I realized that I knew them through my high school instructor. And so I found out through them that the guys that were over the Georgia Tech drumline were also over the Atlanta Falcons drumline. And there were a bunch of people that marched at Tech on the Falcons drumline. So I was like, hey, this kind of works out because I'm not going to be at Georgia Tech, but I can still march with people that are there and learn from the people that are teaching there. So that's kind of cool. So I went through the audition process, and it was pretty cool. I think it was one of the few rookies my year that I auditioned. I was one of the few rookies that got a spot that year. It's pretty cool.
It's good information for the both of you that you guys gave. And one thing I'm really impressed with is, Mr. Wilson, is that, you pretty much said as an undergrad going to South Carolina State University, you pretty much came on as a freshman leader. So they must have saw something in you, which was like, man, this kid has really got his game. He's really on point. And then, that just starts the ball rolling in regards to becoming a section leader, becoming someone to look up to, right? What were some of your challenges that you overcame in that particular drum line at South Carolina State University?
Okay. Challenges like my freshman year or challenges overall?
just, we all have challenges. I had challenges when I came in as a freshman. As you go on, the challenges become different. So the challenges you had as a freshman, I'm sure, were not the challenges that you had as a drumline captain.
It's hard to speak on. I'm going to say that first.
Hey, take your time.
Because I'm a bongo brother, which is South Carolina State University's drumline. We have a history that goes back past 50 years, 1963. So coming in, the first problem was not being, being new and not being a part of the drumline itself. That was the first challenge. But, what got me through that was that we kind of had a weird setup at South Carolina State because Tim Green ended up being the instructor there at 07, I believe. I got there in 08. And he was the instructor for a drumline that we used to battle when I was in high school with Cream. And they whooped us a good number of times, So the crazy thing is, Mr. Riles, that I knew from Cream as my instructor, he went to Morris Brown College and his band director was Eddie Ellis. So Eddie Ellis took over the band at South Carolina State University. And, he went to Mr. Ellis. He went to Riles to, try to get some kids from Atlanta and different things when it came to instructing. So, Riles referred a few of the graduating people from Cream, and Tim Green had brought a few graduating people from Brooklyn Stepper. So we kind of had to merge together after battling for so many years. And that was the first thing, us gelling together as a unit, being from different playing styles. And then after we're together, getting into what was actually going on into the drumline. Later on, there was always a battle between tradition and modernization. And I think that's happens at a lot of HBCUs. I don't think it's like, only South Carolina State or anything like that. But that was one thing, traditional cadences were made older. So all the new things that everybody's doing as far as tonals and, different things like that is not necessarily in the traditional cadences. Some of our traditional cadences were made for just tritoms, so the parts, they look a little weird played on a sextuplet or a quint, and they sound the same, but just look a little weird because of the tritones versus that many drums. Other than that, it was just basically the hardest thing was, getting, everybody on staff to understand what we were trying to bring to the table as our class and the new era of percussion instructor that was there and what the band director wanted. That was always a challenge getting those things to gel, but I think we got it through. We were able to gel the tradition and the new stuff that we were bringing to the table together pretty well and push the envelope. We didn't always succeed, but we always went for it. You know what I mean? So I think those are pretty much the challenges that it went as far as drumline. You know what I mean? I didn't really have any challenges as far as music was concerned or anything, but that was about it. I think
okay, cool.
Pretty.
Yeah, I think you pretty much mentioned it, and those challenges are something that I'm sure that we are all familiar with on this episode and this cast as well. And what about you, Mr. Woolfolk, in regards to your challenges? Even though you didn't per se march at an HBCU, I'm sure you had some challenges, like you said, at Georgia State, right?
Yeah. So a lot of the challenge when I got to college was just trying to adjust, because the schools that I came from were how do I word this properly? They challenged you, but at the same time, it wasn't like you weren't getting pushed that much. Like compared to a lot of the other schools that we were going against, it was kind of obvious that we weren't one of the upper tier high schools. So once I got into college, I realized there's still a lot of room that I had to make up in order to be competitive with all the other people who had played at these high schools that were, competing in Bands of America and, taking first place in Drumline year after year after year, stuff like that. So competing against people like that was really the big adjustment for me in trying to learn how to be successful in that kind of environment while still teaching on the side, doing Atlanta Falcons Drumline, trying to survive as a human being, and still taking all my classes because I was doing a double major, music education and psychology. So I was doing a whole lot of coursework alongside of just my music stuff. So it's really more of a balancing act. That's why I really learned how to balance the entire workload, really.
That's important that you mentioned that, just being able to balance that the course load, music, being able to just do both and be successful at it. And I commend you for doing that. And I applaud both of you guys for, doing the great things that you've done. And one thing that we want to look at, and because you guys have done great things, just want to segue into, the TV spots that you guys have done. Can you talk to us about that process, the TV shows, the movies that you participated in? What was that experience like in its totality?
Well, I did Drumline 2 and the Quad for BET. Like, they were two totally different things. I didn't actually know that Drumline 2 was going to be like a real thing. I was still in college at this time, and like people would just like from schools like, yeah, I'm going down to Atlanta to audition for Drumline 2. I'm like, I live there. I haven't heard of anything. I don't know. So a bunch of people was like, yeah, it's gonna be here, and that it was like literally one street over from my house. So I just went, and I was like, oh, it's a real thing. Like they're gonna have a movie, because it was like 10 years or so since the first one came out. And I'm like, okay, how are they gonna? What's the storyline? You know what I mean? So, but it was just a long process from auditioning, then getting placed on the drum lines, getting fitted, a bunch of hurry up and wait. When it comes to those big movie cameras and all the tracks that they use, it takes like hours just to reframe a shot. So you'll sit there and do a shot 10 times, and then you have to wait an hour or two, maybe even 3, for them to re-angle the cameras to shoot that shot again. The last scene that we did, the battle scene, it took us all night from like we were there from like 8 p.m. to like 9 a.m. or so like that, to shoot the last battle scene. But a lot about the challenges when it came to that were like, people in the movie business not necessarily understanding marching band, not necessarily understanding that, hey, everybody has to have spats. No, he can't wear a different band uniform and march with us. Like stuff that, people outside of marching band have no idea of. He should have his instrument in this hand and not this hand. You can't sit that on the drum, ma'am. Different things like that. Or no, you can't hit that with that. And them understanding our culture and how things went. And big challenge was us trying to make it real for us, because everybody besides some filming days were like true musicians and real band directors, teachers that marched for years. So they like everybody knows these things. And it was really hard for them to understand that we were serious professionals, even though it was just marching band. And the Quad for BET, it started out as a different name when we shot the trailer. And then it changed, and then they got picked up, and then we just did a bunch of scenes, that had us, just playing as the marching band. We would play sometimes and not often, just like the Drumline movie. Like it was very, like we only really had one chance to get everything right, and we were gelling everybody together from all these different places, different playing styles to make it look like we're from this school, and we came up with a name for the section. Chants. We came up with cadences, marching cadences, grooves, all types of things. And then we brought in Mr. Riles and Tim Green to help us get some cadences there. And I was fortunate enough to get one of my pieces in the movie as well for Drumline 2. And that was pretty much it. The choir was more simple, because it was made for TV opposed to made for a big film. It was a longer process,
Okay, I really appreciate you going into depth on that. And I did have some things that I was just curious about. The drummers that were down there, and you just said this, you had a lot of people coming from different schools, coming from all over the place. Just where were some of the drummers from? That gives us an idea of the challenges that could have taken place.
Okay, we had people from Southern. We had people from Alabama State, Alabama A&M, Bethune-Cookman, Norfolk State. We had people from South Carolina State, obviously, Albany State. We had some people from Clark Atlanta, because a lot of the films were filmed at Clark Atlanta. A lot of the takes were filmed at Clark Atlanta. Let me see what I remember. We had a good mix of a lot of different styles, and we had people from NCAT as well. I don't know, if I keep thinking, I'm gonna find another school, but it was a lot.
Well, I think you pretty much painted the picture for us and for our viewers out there this is a major, a huge undertaking, because it's hard enough at your own school when you got people coming in from different areas of the country, different locations in the city and everything. Hey, well, we play like this over here. We do it this way, but for this, we got to pull it together and get on one page. And I really commend you for bringing that to light. That was
Thank
really
you.
interesting.
I don't want to leave them out. FAMU. I don't want to leave them out. FAMU.
Hey, man.
I didn't forget. I'm sorry.
Hey,
I want to leave you
out there. He did not leave you out. He got you guys in. So, but I just think that's really great that what you said, all those different schools, and we got to bring it together to look like we're one line at this point, no matter where you come from.
Yeah.
So good. Mr. Woolfolk, do you got anything to chime in on that? Okay.
No, not really. We had a couple of cool performances. We performed at Cartoon Network headquarters a couple of times. We performed at Turner Field, performed a lot of different places, but nothing recorded for a movie or a TV show or anything like that.
It's no problem, man. You put your work in as well. So that was really good. You guys gave just some information that I wasn't aware of, but thank you.
A fun fact: I actually auditioned for Drumline 1. Rick, was you still in school then when they came to Virginia State?
I was gone. I had already got out there.
Yeah, they never really asked me to play. They wanted me to do a speaking part. I was trying to take Nick Cannon's part, but he ended up getting the part. But yeah, man, I auditioned for it. But so I want to ask, and TJ, I don't mean to leave you out, but this, one of my drum mentors, one of my brothers, Mr. Wilson, how is it working under, I call him the cheat code, Tim Green. How is it, being, marching under him?
Marching under him was, it was pretty simple. A lot of people wouldn't think that, but it was very, very, very consistent. That's what he preached. He was very, very consistent. I learned a lot about being a drummer, about being a percussionist from him. A lot of our cadences, I couldn't even believe, sometimes I would get on the bus and he would be writing cadences by hand. I wasn't used to that, and I'm like, well, how do you know what the drums sound like or what you're trying to do? He was like, after doing it for a while, you can kind of feel it. Some of our best cadences were written by hand. But leading under him as a freshman was pretty simple. Just learn your music, show up on time, handle your schoolwork. He wouldn't let people participate in the drumline if they didn't have a certain GPA, and different things like that. But the one thing with him is he wasn't like a ruler of like the drumline, you know, like before anything happened, he would fully talk you into it or ask you a question and let you decide. Like, it was one time we were at Honda and, you know, all the bands were on the field. So the drum line, we were over here doing our thing. And then one of the other drum lines, I think it was like PV or something, they did a do. So then everybody looks at me and is like, man, intro. I'm like, so, you know, I click it, boom, 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 you know, and then the guy comes, band directors, get your drum line, stop playing. Tim calls us up there. He's like, was it worth it? I'm like, I mean, maybe, yeah. He's like, that's not what we do. Do we have to show people what we're capable of? When the time comes, we'll be able to do it. And I'm like, all right. You know, he was very strict and, you know, his timing when it came to like practices, he would give us a rundown of everything that was going to happen at rehearsal. I remember like, and this is literally one time, the one time in 5 years, he was late. All right. He was late one time. You know, we're outside, everybody, you know, a couple tenor drums over there, do. You know, a few snares over here running through some parts, bass drums doing a section. He pulls up and he comes straight to me. He was like, what are you doing? I'm like, you know, just waiting on you, man. You know, so if I'm not on time, you don't warm up. I'm like, all right. I mean, you know, he was like, you need me to tell you what to do? You don't know what to do? I'm like, yeah, I guess I do know what to do. You know, when it came to like writing music or anything like that, if I had a part that I wanted to show the drumline, he would make sure that I would write it out first, even if I didn't use the music to teach them. You know, he always made sense in what he did. He was always respectful. He never really used any profanity towards us. One time he did my freshman year, but we were just clashing with the upperclassmen. Like that was the one time he told us, "Hey, look, I have a DCI ring. You understand?" I'm like, he's the man, you know, but he's just brilliant, man. He knows how to teach people in ways that you can only learn from just teaching people from young ages. You know, when we played against the Lions, they were younger than us and they were beating us. I didn't understand. But after learning from him, it was like his consistent approach to everything that we did made it work. So I adopted a lot of things like that, you know, from him and Mr. Riles on how I teach my students at the different places where I teach. So that's how it was pretty much. It was very consistent. You know, he didn't take any excuses. Like, I don't remember any excuse that worked for not being at rehearsal, not having your music done. He would give us 2 days. You know, if we didn't have the whole piece, he was snapping. You know, 2 days. How long do you need? We went through A through C at rehearsal. He always had the metronome. Band hated the metronome. We loved it, you know, but he pushed the limit. I feel like he's one of the instructors that pushed the limit of what HBCU instructors have to offer. You know what I mean? By being, you know, he marched DCI. And he marched cadets for 3 years, I believe, like on bass drum, and ended up being snare captain. So he had a lot of different things that he learned that we didn't learn in our culture, and he kind of merged that together. You know, at first people didn't, you know, some of the traditional people didn't like his writing. We were loving it. We were, you know, we want beats, tones, all that. We want everything. We're loving it. And until it came to the point where his writing became so genius that some of the bongos thought he wrote that they were, some cadence we played, they thought it was traditional cadences they didn't remember. I'm like, no, he just wrote that 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? And they couldn't believe it. You know, and his first cadence was called Genesis and his last cadence was called Countdown. So, you know, he always had a method to the madness. Whatever he would do, he would come in with like strange ideas and, you know, and it would work out for what we were doing. And we wouldn't realize it till 2 weeks later or so. So it was just a lot to take in, man. You know, he was always good to talk to, you know, and that's pretty much it. I can go on for days.
Yeah, to go back to what you said, it was times I would come late to practice and just sit and watch my section leader, come up like, what are you doing? Why you not warming up? Why you waiting on me? So I felt when you said that, I used to do the same thing. They had to learn, don't wait on me. Warm them up, start running the music. But yeah, good stuff, good stuff. So next, I want y'all to talk about Cream. Your time with Cream, you all time with Cream. How was it? Everything.
TJ.
All right.
Mine is a little longer, so.
Yeah, you have the full history, and I only have the past couple of years. So I actually started with Cream. 2018 was my first year, right? Yeah, 2018 was my first year, and
17 auditions, 18.
Yeah, so the auditions, December 2017, and then the 2018 season was my first year. And Garrick was actually the one that asked me to come and be the bass tech for Cream. And that started because he was a fan. There's a lot of people that like what I was been doing with my bass line at Lithonia High School. And from that, our relationship kind of developed because that's around the time when he started teaching at North Atlanta High School. And we actually saw them a couple of times at Nationals the year before, I think. And then again, we saw he was one of the judges, I think, or I think we were just there at the competition when we first started talking about me joining the staff at Cream. So got on staff there and became the bass tech in 2018, 2019. We kind of pushed forward. I became the assistant director, and we were help co-writing the show, not the music. Of course, Tim was the one writing the music because, why wouldn't you want Tim Green's music in your show? So Tim wrote the show, except for 2 pieces that we co-wrote, and then we came up with all the drill, design, all that stuff. But in terms of the full experience, it was really good. There's more positives than negatives. I will say that. There were more positives working with Cream than negatives. It was nice getting to experience a lot of different kids from a lot of different schools, because it's one thing to compete against these kids at a football game or at a competition, but then you get to actually meet them and teach them and see oh, this is how you guys learn at that school, and seeing how the various teaching styles all kind of line up at the different schools, or in some cases they don't, but we all teach different ways. We're all different people, and learning all these different kids, learning how they learn, the best way to teach them, the best way to motivate them, stuff like that. It's really cool. And of course, the spring break college tour is one of the coolest things ever. I love that we get to do that. Can't wait to bring that back soon. Get to experience that again. Definitely want the kids to experience that too. But overall, again, it was a really positive experience for the most part.
Okay.
All right, so I have a long history with Cream. I was a student in Cream. The first year was started in the latter half of 2003, and I was on their B squad. At that time, they had A, B, and C squad. Which is crazy because later we tried to use that same concept, and it turns out parents nowadays don't like B and C. But that's later. So I was on B squad. I played snare drum. The thing is, I've only ever marched snare drum ever. I haven't marched any other thing. So the B squad, we would just learn a lot of cadences from Drumline and different things like that. And I was on the marching band in my high school. And then at Jamboree, when I did my first actual performance, the 2 directors from Cream and my high school section leader, who is Bernard Smith, they came to me and was like, "Hey, we didn't know you could play like that. You're on A squad now." So I was moved to A squad, and then I love Cream. We at first we started as a church group, a Seventh-day Adventist church group. So the students that were in it, they couldn't, as far as their religious beliefs, they couldn't do anything on Saturdays or Fridays. So that's why our original rehearsals always started with Sundays, and we would only do 1 rehearsal a week. So from there, you know, we had a lot of church kids in there, but they weren't allowed to, because of that, they weren't allowed to be in the marching bands at the high schools because they couldn't be at games on Fridays or anything on Saturdays because they were doing church. You know, we naturally progressed a little faster than them being like the outside kids that were in there. So then, you know, we got into serious stuff, doing competitions and traveled to Wisconsin, doing a church revival for all Seventh-day Adventists that only happens like every 4 years. Crazy thing, the one line there that was kind of better than us was the one line that had connections with Tim Green from the Northeastern District of Seventh-day Adventists. So that's when we first kind of got introduced to tonals and stuff like that. You know, we went on to do competitions while I was a student, and we met James Rouse. He just came in one day, and the director introduced us, and he just like started making a groove before he said anything. He's like, bass drums, give me this, you know, tenors play this and snares do this. And he just came in, he was just like doing a little groove, cross stick on the drum. He's like, what's up? I'm James Rouse. You know, I'm like, this guy's smooth. I like this guy, you know, because I've never seen anybody introduce themselves with a groove. You know, the dude introduced him, and I'm like, oh, he was in Drumline 1? I'm like, I don't remember. You know, and then he told us, Mr. Ross, then he told us, you know, I was the guy you seen when the quince went behind the back and the cape got caught on the stick. Yeah, that was me. I'm like, oh, I remember you. You know what I mean? So that was my time in Cream. It was real fun. We only used to do a lot of, like, really one competition a year, which was Warren County competition. We lost like 3 or 4 of those in a row, and then we finally won my senior year. So then coming back, Cream had shut down, and I believe while I was in college, I think it was 2011 2011, right? It had shut down. I had left in 08. So it had shut down. All while I was in college, I would come back on breaks during winter. That's when they would do the auditions. I would see, you know, who's coming up. That's how I met Jeremy Foster, you know, the younger guys that came up under me. So then 2015, I was getting ready to move back to Atlanta from Orangeburg, South Carolina. I had stayed there opening my own home studio. And, you know, the director of Cream at the time, and Bernard Smith, who was my section leader in high school, went on to march to Norfolk State. And Cream, while I was in Cream as well, they said, hey, we're going to bring it back. We're going to bring Cream back. And I'm like, okay, how are we going to do it? So we got together, and, you know, our first audition was November or December 2015 when we were bringing it back. And then at that time, Bernard was the head director, and I was only the assistant director. We had a nice little staff, and, you know, we were doing some good things. We had a warehouse. We had a lot of students come in, and we really grinded it out for that first year. You know what I'm saying? Like, we went back, got some old music that we, you know, brought back from when Riles wrote, had some Tim stuff, and then we went real hard into, you know, gelling the kids together in a short amount of time. So then that next year, Bernard decided to, you know, that things weren't lining up, you know, the way it needed to with Cream. So he decided to go tour Drumline Live again. He was touring Drumline Live for a lot. So, you know, he passed it over to me. I took over. That was 2017, I believe. We had 2 squads that year. We went to New York, and you know, everything is great. It's a lot to overcome, you know, getting the kids to gel together, and then only doing it once or twice a week. You know, when I was a kid, like, we would do 1 rehearsal a week, and then like 1 overnight rehearsal before we come to the competition. No showers, just get on, drum, win or lose, come back, or different things like that, you know. But to us, that was, you know, that's what we were living for. You know what I mean? They didn't really have drumline competitions down here where we were from. So when we got up there, we were like, oh, they love drumline like that. You know, and then 2018, 19, you know, we just really just tried to push the limit with Cream. Like when I took over, like I wanted to push the limit in every way possible, that we could with what was known from drum lines at the time for high schoolers, and I had to go back and do a lot of research on what made the era that I was in good, the things that people liked about what we were doing. It was not necessarily like Mr. Riles was teaching. Like we had a thing where, everyone would bob their head and make crazy faces at certain times, parts that we liked. So when I came back, like I worked that into the system on how I teach the students. I would have them play full warm-ups, smiling, full cheese, or full cadence, stone face, mad face, or a slightly confused face, or different things like that to kind of foster that that performance type technique that was more playful at times, but in your face and more deliberate instead of just some people that have the groove, the internal soul, or I don't know what it's called, and that was the gist of it, man. We've been changing lives, we were getting $1.1 million or more in scholarships each year for the kids. All of them now are section leaders in various HBCUs graduating. That's the same way it was when I was leaving. Most of the section leaders that I went against when I was in college were some of my Cream mates, like at Cookman, and different schools like that. So that's my my tie to Cream. I'm like tied in deep from the roots up until now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I want to say your first year marching was my first year actually judging, I guess, drumline competitions. I was very, I guess, intrigued by, you guys, I guess a high school, community line, whatever you want to call it, playing the way y'all was playing. Y'all always, brought the beats, everything. I was very impressed. But yeah, 2003, your first year was my first year judging. So talk to us about, you all new adventure with New Wave Percussion and how that came about.
I could take it, well, I mean, New Wave Percussion, despite what people think, New Wave Percussion is Cream Percussion. I'm just gonna flat out say it. Everything has been great with Cream Percussion. Like I'm tied to it on another level. The mentorship that we give the kids, how we impact their lives, how behind the scenes, the staff, we design certain things to, bring them out their shell, or, like the one thing that I realized about Cream is that it's not everybody from your high school goes to it. It's the one or two that like to drum on a different level. And I don't say it's a better level or anything, just a different level, somewhere else. So, at times they're very, reclusive when they come in a setting like that. And, we would foster different experiences for them to gel together as, hey, this is our family still, this is our unit. When we go out on that floor, they're only going to see this. They're not going to know, that we put this together in 3 rehearsals. They're not going to understand the challenges that it may take to perform to a level that people expect from Cream. During the last season of the 2020 season, we had some different things behind the scenes that didn't line up with the vision of, I was always tied to Cream from a mentorship standpoint. Riles really touched my life as a kid, growing up in East Atlanta, being, you would do marching band during the week, but the weekend, around here would get real weird for kids that are, in the inner city or different things. So being at Cream really saved us from those things. And Riles is a real religious person. So, we got used to praying all the time. And, that saved a lot of us and helped us go from not knowing we can do anything with drums to being able to say, hey, Mom, I can get a scholarship with this. So those types of things and those type of values was real important to me, because I was one of those people that, without percussion, I wouldn't have necessarily, I realized I wasn't growing anymore. I wasn't going to be that football star, you know what I mean? But the one thing I realized is 100% of the kids that audition for band scholarships get them, and it's just how good you are determines the amount, or what the budget is set up for the school. So, we had we had a point where people thought that I owned Cream, because I was technically the face of it. But there's always been an executive branch that oversaw a lot of different things that people didn't necessarily know about. And the vision, the vision of what was really happening on the ground, boots on the ground, was not what was going, not aligning from the top down. We don't look at the kids as numbers. We don't look at what they can afford. We, when I was in school, I couldn't afford to pay for certain things, so I wouldn't, knowing the demographic of kids we have, I wouldn't make dues a certain substantial amount, that'll automatically eliminate kids. And, so different things were happening, and we were just left astray. So we had to make a decision with the parents that were riding with us. The staff, I let them know. I was the head director staff, and I let them know what was going on. And we decided, if we were to do some different things, we'll keep the program the same, and implement a lot of stuff that we were told no on, that we feel was beneficial for the kids. What would it be called? And we were doing the whole New Wave thing. New Wave is my studio as well. Just like, I feel like that's what we've always brought to the table, is something new, something innovative or creative in a sense. So, we brought it to the parents of Cream Percussion, and they decided, it was a very hard meeting for me to have. The first question I started was, who thinks I own Cream Percussion? And got that squared away right away. And they chose to go with New Wave Percussion. They said they were behind us. They believed in what they saw us doing with the students, and our track record and our experience. So, that's basically what we had to do. We had to rebrand for legal purposes, not having that leadership from a business standpoint is not safe if we want to take kids across borders, state borders, or different things like that. We got to know that things are established. There's certain insurance that has to be taken care of. So, we had to make sure that we could still provide that and provide what we were telling the kids we were trying to provide them. And that's how New Wave Percussion basically came about, as far as evolving from Cream Percussion into what it is now. And that's really my take on it.
Okay, TJ, you got anything to say?
I mean, just piggybacking off of that, it was really the way that we view it is that it's just an evolution of the ideas that we had when we were with Cream. Because as Garrick said, there were some things that we were told no on. Like some stuff, like I don't want to say like what we want to do in the future, because, we want y'all to see it. But there was a process, there was a vision that we had for what we wanted Cream to become, that we were told, no, that's not going to work. No, we can't do that. You'll have to go over to where certain demographics are if you want to make this successful. And, this is the stuff that we're hearing from the top. And we're like, no, we can make this work. We just need the backing to do it. And then, things happened in as we're preparing for the 2020 season. And it just got to the point where there was too much. And we had to decide whether we were going to keep going or whether we were going to get out for our own sanity, because it was stressful not knowing what the direction was from the top. So for our sake and for the kids' sake, we had to shift, we had to pivot. And that was just how New Wave Percussion came to be. It's just our vision amplified, essentially.
Gotcha. I want to commend you all, for putting the kids first. That's the main goal, putting them first and, giving them something to do, playing drums, keeping them off the streets, keeping them busy. My hat's off to both of you all, for all the hard work.
Hey, EP, let me jump in real quick and just ask you guys, Mr. Wilson and Mr. Woolfolk, there again, you guys bring some good things to light here. Let's say, I'm a parent, right? I have, kids of my own, and, I see New Wave. Hey, they're really interested in doing some drumming, right? They really want to drum. And as a parent, I'm coming to them and saying, hey, look, I like the word you use. I want my kids to go to the next level. I want my kids to do some drumming on a higher level. Not to say it's better than anything, it's just on a higher level at this point. What are some of the things that you guys do for New Wave? What are some of your values that a parent like myself would come back and say, hey, look, I really like where they're going with this. I think I want my kid to be in this percussion group, this community line.
Okay. Well, to answer that, I would say that Cream being what it is, it came with a legacy. It has a name. It has a brand that people know and respect. And when it came to doing good things that worked for us, when it came to competing, the name really worked against us. I don't know. For some reason, people think that it was something else going on. We were getting requests from different competitions to prove the kids were in high school, different things like that. So the thing when it came to New Wave Percussion is not having that long legacy. So what we chose to do, is put together a full packet that involves our mission, our vision, our objectives, and how we teach the kids with our bios and different things like that. That shows the kids how we mentor them, what we expect from them. We have parent commitment forms. We expect parents to at least donate some water sometime for the kids if they're rehearsing. We expect the kids to maintain a certain GPA. And a lot of times, the parents, they come to us as instructors thinking that the kids will listen to us more than they will listen to them. I know it's crazy to say, but I've heard it so many times. Mr. Wilson, talk to your boy. He gonna get pulled out. He keep acting like this, and look what he brought home. And I have to be that mentor that lets him know, like, hey, regardless of what you think is going on here, we got our degrees, sir. We go to class, we handle business. When you put on that shirt, you have to know you don't represent yourself. You represent a brand, and the brand is of humility. It's of innovation. It's of being a productive part of your environment and your community. And always adding value, never devaluing. So those are the things that I would tell a parent. And we have the experience, 20 years of successful programs that we've run. Between TJ and I and the rest of our staff. We have a staff that's all dedicated to each section, that are proficient in each area, and me and TJ are the lead of the whole percussion team that it goes through. So we pretty much, that's how we handle, when we're talking to new parents, telling them what we bring to the table and how we package that up to them.
Sounds good to me. How do I sign up?
Man, you go to New Wave Percussion. We have our link tree in our Instagram on our bio that'll take you to our sign up link, and it just asks you a few questions. How long you've been in band, what instrument, what's your secondary instrument, and what other instruments you play. Like, we like to implement a lot of different variables in the show, so we like to know if kids can sing, if they can rap, if they can tap dance. Any other little things that they do. And most times we figure out how to put it in the show. We had kids that knew how to solve Rubik's Cubes, and this close to having a Rubik's Cube show. I don't know. I still don't know to this day. But I was like, 3 of y'all can do Rubik's Cubes real quick. Like,
well, look, here's an idea.
Well, I don't know. They got to be in the show somehow. I don't know. Just go to the judge and say, hey, look at this. And then play that.
Here's an idea. You got your snare drum soloist doing this thing. You got the Rubik's Cube guy doing this thing.
Oh man, it was almost I think it was 2017 too. Oh man, but that show was ridiculous. We were going too far. We were going too far. That's still the show. That's still the year I believe that we just went too far. Music wise, it was too far.
Thank you for that.
That's everything. That's about it, Rick.
Okay, gentlemen. So you guys really gave some good information here. This is a follow-up episode that we just did at this point. So we want to thank you guys for coming on. And EP, and to our guests that are on here, the more and more I listen, the more and more I think about this. And we talked about this last time. A lot of times our viewers, our audience, we see that final product. We see you guys come across the stage. We see you guys put on a fantastic show. But we don't really know what goes on behind the scenes to get to that point. And I think you guys have really laid it out there. Yeah, I think that's just the nature of the beast. When you have your community clients, there's going to be some behind the scenes things going on. When you want to move in a different direction, so be it. You can do that. And I think it's great that you guys decide to go out and do new wave at this point. And we understand the legacy behind it, the precursor behind it. You guys decided to do what you want to do at this point in creating new wave. And I think it's really great.
Appreciate that, my brother. I appreciate that.
When's your guys' next show?
We don't necessarily have any shows because of the situation that the nation is in at the point. Right now we're doing virtual online classes with the students weekly. And, we're moving towards some physical things, but we keep one of our students, their parent is a doctor. So they keep us kind of, in tune with what's going on the front lines in this situation to let us know, hey, it might not be best to have sectionals or what procedures we need to take. So we're moving into more physical things now to try to see. I don't know. It's not looking too great in the percussion world right now for competitions and things like that. So it's really hard to say what the next show is. To keep up with us, New Wave Percussion ATL online. We have a link tree with all our links there, and we provide videos and different things like that. So we have a lot of content coming out now that's going to kind of spin the way that percussion is being viewed online. So look out for that. It's just a new wave of percussion is what we're pushing, and it's more comfortable. I feel it's more comfortable this way. We don't necessarily have a stigma or anything to live up to as far as, when it comes to competitions. I never wanted to just be a competition drumline teacher or anything like that. We want to mentor the kids and do different things in the percussion world. So, yeah, man, I appreciate y'all having us on this show. I really think it's a really good thing that y'all are doing to segue into what's happening in the world, getting people to talk about it and getting the in-depth stories behind what's going on, that it's not just all bang, 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 bang. It's smiles and cries behind getting those drums out there.
And I think, go ahead, EP, go ahead.
People see Drumline, the movie, Nick Cannon, they think that's all it is, but it's a culture. It's more history, than just, like you said, bang, bang, bang. Go ahead, Rick.
I was going to say there's a lot that goes behind it, and everybody has their vision. And for EP and myself's vision with this, we came together and said, hey, look, we want to talk about HBCU Drumline as a whole, its culture itself, and from community lines to drumline captains to instructors to band directors as well. We're going to talk about it all. We're going to talk about it all because the picture here is really big. And I think with the community line section here, the drums are the last thing. As I said before, the most important thing is bigger than drumming. It's, how can we get the kids successful? How can we get these kids playing? How can we look at these kids and say, there is a way to do certain things, either through mentorship, through the core values. You can be successful with this. What you do with it is up to you.
Yes, sir.
But I really thank you guys for coming on. Mr. Woolfolk, hey, even though you didn't march at an HBCU, it's okay. It's okay, my friend. We won't hold that against you. But hey,
Rick,
yeah.
Rick, hold on. Mr. Woolfolk, real quick. If you was to march for the HBCU, who would it be?
Oh. If I were to march at HBCU, which one would it be? Oh.
5 seconds.
Honestly, okay, I'm basing this off of the current state of affairs, like the current things. I'm not basing it off of history. Honestly, currently, I'd probably march at Virginia State because I genuinely love what you're doing with the bass drums there. I'm a bass drummer myself, so I love what y'all are doing there. So having an opportunity to go there, that'd be great.
Word. Mr. Wilson, you next. It wasn't. So, not your school you graduated from. Who would you march for?
Norfolk State.
Okay.
That was the only other school besides Bethune-Cookman that I thought, that I was like, yeah, I like what they're doing. I still like it, and then, yeah. So it would be Norfolk State. I auditioned for them first.
Okay. Yeah. Word.
Okay, gentlemen. So do you have any questions for Elijah or myself? I always like to look at this, and I think this is one of the first times, what do you have anything that you would like to ask us as a guest on our show?
So I said, I like what y'all doing. So where do y'all see this going? As far as HBCU Drumline talk, as far as getting more exposure to it, like where do y'all want to take it? I think it's a great thing.
Want me to take an EP, or you want to jump in on it?
You got it.
Okay, so the whole vision is to the vision in its totality is to do what we're doing right now. We want to speak to drumlines. We want to learn about, for example, there might be a kid who's up there in Seattle. There might be a kid in Oakland. Well, does a kid in Oakland have any idea what the difference between Southern, Bethune-Cookman, Alcorn, Prairie View, Virginia State, Norfolk State? Do you have any idea what that's all about? They might not. So by doing these episodes and by talking with folks, hey, it's not about which school is better. We asked that question. Hey, which HBCU would you have marched for? The bigger picture is, hey, look, you're going to be a part of something bigger than just one school. And if you're not familiar with, the HBCU culture, by dialing in, by looking at it, you get a chance to really hear from the people who have done it, the people who have been in the lines, the people who have instructed, the directors of the bands. We even had an episode where, we had some ladies come on, some females talk about their perspective. It's not just, males, females come on too. So the ultimate vision was to get that platform going and to really, showcase and go live at, these high profile HBCU HBCU bands events. So, you got these Battle of the Bands. We really want to look at, okay, well, what's going on with this drum line exactly? Could the tuning be a little bit better? Could things look a little bit better on this way? Hey, not in a bad way. We're just saying, hey, look, this is some things that could possibly make you better for the next go round. We also want to take a look at, there's some mega drum lines out there, but there are also some smaller drum lines that can have some heat too. So, we don't exclude anyone. Anything HBCU drumline talk, that's us. That's what we want to do.
All right. I love that, man. I love that vision. That's what we need, man.
Yeah,
it's hard for people to accept that critique.
Yeah, and it's like it's nothing bad. We're looking at it from the standpoint of, okay, well, man, I really like what the snare drums are doing, but I noticed there's some misfires happening somewhere. Maybe a little bit more practice or something like that, or whatever it may be. All he's got to do is tune this way. The question that keeps coming up is, about bass drums and, how to get that specific sound, things like that. How do we go about, hey, it's all help. It's all help.
Yeah.
A bass drum specialist episode might be a good idea. Just throwing that out there.
Hey, we take ideas too. We have our ways to contact us and email us, ideas that we think will be great.
Okay.
You got anything to put on that?
My email. It needs to be SWAC bass drummers, MEAC bass drummers, and let them talk.
Hey, it's okay. We'll take them. You got anything to
I
put on
love
that,
that,
EP?
man. I appreciate y'all, fellas, man. I love y'all and have a wonderful evening.
You guys have a great evening as well.
Thank y'all for coming on. Y'all have a
Thanks.
good night.
We're going to go ahead and close on out here. They gave us this was a great follow-up to our episode that we just had, and what we want to say is, hey, you guys keep following us, keep tuning in for great topics like this. Like I said, this is HBCU Drumline Talk. You can follow us on IG. You can follow us on Facebook. And you can also hear us on Pandora, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Spotify. Did I miss anything? It's going to be long. Okay. So from EP and myself, we're checking on out. You guys have a great evening. Please be safe and look forward to further episodes coming up shortly.
Peace.